Good morning. I always say there's lots to do, and that's usually because there always is. I think with boats there's always stuff to do, and I'm always coming up with new ideas to the sort of weird crazy ideas that I want to test out. So today we've got quite a few things we've got three big things actually that I want to do. First and foremost, I brought all my tools down to get this Skeg fitted on Mochyn D. So that's going to be the first job. Second job is heading back to Lulu, who's out there, and we're going to try and get the tent to the next step because we may need that tent soon. And then the third big thing I'd like to do today is get a spray cover sorted out, and I've got a few new ideas on that I've been actually talking to someone else on YouTube that I watch, so I'll come to that later in the video. So let's get her out and let's get started. Now let's have a look at this job because it's kind of straightforward if we just stick to the plan. First of all, you can see where there's some fiberglassing being done here, so we need to strip that back to the fiberglass so we've got something to key into when we fiberglass the new one on. Secondly, you can see there is a crack here, so we're going to have to take that down at least to there, and then get this kind of as straight as we can. I mean, if we can get it down to the hull, it's probably going to be best. Third thing we've got to watch for, there's a screw coming through there, a screw here and a screw here. So that's going to make the planing or sanding down of that wood a little bit more difficult. They do look like they're brass screws, so very soft. I was able to sort of really wedge a nick into it with a screwdriver. So let's have a look at the tools we've got today. This is my electric planer. There's a hammer there. I've got my drill for drilling some new holes into the new Skeg, and I've got, I don't need that, do I? No, that's for another job later. But I'm hoping, I've also got my manual, good old trusty manual plane, but that could be a lot of hard work, but maybe for finishing off things. So here's actually the new Skeg that's been cut. Let's pop these down here gently. And I think the way it's been cut is I think it's been cut to spec. So the kind gentleman that did this for me basically found the specs of the mirror Skeg online and just cut it to the spec. So ideally that needs to be sat there, but if it's sat, let's just do this a little bit higher, it's not going to harm, is it? So I think what we've got to do though is get this crack sorted out first, and we'll see where we're going after that. We need to have a look if we because that crack is like this crack here is inherently a weak spot, so we're going to need to kind of gently get this piece of wood removed first. And I think this is being literally held on by this screw. So we may have to start thinking about getting these screws out, because I don't want to rip the wood too badly. But this is just going to be a case of trying to do this as softly and gently as we can, and seeing where we go. The other thing I might just do is see if I can plane through that. So I'm going to get my battery and my planer and see if we can plane through those as well. Otherwise we're going to have to maybe think about cutting through those screws, and then maybe drilling them out. So actually I've got my Dremel. If I put a new one of these discs on, so it's got a few more millimeters there, I should be able to reach these screws through the wood. So I'm hoping this will cut through the wood and just nick through the screw so I can just get this top piece off. So I think that's got that. No, it hasn't got. Oh, yeah, I did get that one. So, okay, here we go. Ooh, feels like might be another screw here that I haven't seen. Ah, there is. So there's another screw just down here, but there we go. We've got a big chunk off there. And then the crack doesn't really go anymore. So we've actually got a screw there, a screw here, and a screw down here. So these, I'm assuming, come through the bottom of the hull and then just give the Skeg just a little bit of help, you know. So yeah, that's interesting. If I'd have thought about this a bit better, my little multi-tool, I should have brought the blade, the cutting blade with it. I didn't bring that. I only brought the sanding part with it. So yeah, maybe I should have brought the cutting tool, because I probably could have cut this to a pretty good angle if I was careful, and then just planed the remainder of it. So let's try anyway and drill these screws down, being really careful not to go too far. Ooh, okay. So that one's become very loose now. So let's have a look what's going on. So it's actually come out, and there's the top of it. So what I can see, let me just check. There's no hole in the boat. No, okay. So these screws must have been embedded on the outside of the hull somehow and come through. I'm not quite sure how that's worked, but that's really good news, because it means if I can get the screws out, it means I can get the planer in. So let's do the other three. This one, there we go, we got a. So I'm wondering, that's, well, I can't see anything here. We'll just have to maybe do a few more. No, I want to keep this as tidy as I can so I can plane it. So I think now's the time to give this a plane. See if we can get this down nice and flat. Here goes nothing. Oh wow, what a difference the right tools make. You can just see here, there is that extra screw we were looking for, but it's cutting through it without any problems, so I'm not going to worry. Just going to move my tools out the way of all this wood chippings. Looking at that, I don't know if the boat's wonky or whether that's definitely not quite straight, so we need to make sure we get this nice and straight. But even now, if we just get the new Skeg, if that were to go on like that, oh wow. Yeah, look at that. Hey, I tell you what, I'm wondering whether we've hit lucky there, haven't we? We have hit lucky there. I think we leave that there. Yeah. Or do we? No, I'm going to go a bit further, because I think if we can get this flat, we'll be able to get at the fiberglass a lot more easily to sand it down. You can see there's the fiberglass coming up, not much on that side. So we'll try and get it flush with the boat if we can, but we're going to have to be super careful. So that's actually coming out a little bit now. So I think we need to just get this out. There you go, because it's the head of the screw. You can see now, look, we don't want to go any further. That's the hull of the boat basically. So I mean, if we left it at that, yeah, I think the other skeg was a bit thicker. But if we leave it about there, I think we've got a nice sort of angle there. I need to just chip off a little bit on this bit here, and then we're going to have to replace this aluminium piece here, but I also need to just lift that out, don't I, because it's not going to be any good chopping away at that. Yeah, that should be okay. And I'm just going to sort of drill that little screw out as well. I should have got rid of this screw first, shouldn't I really? I'm going to try and do this without drilling into the bottom of the hull, but we've got away pretty well here. There we go. So we're now just going to flatten this out here. There we go. So, okay, we've lost a little bit of that curvature, but that's okay. We're going to make sure it's seated there, and we'll just have to make sure we fill that a little bit. I'm just going to use P40 to see how quickly we can get this back quickly, because these do get clogged up quicker. And then we'll see where we go from there. There we go. That's going to be okay. Now there's a few little bits of paint in there, but they're quite pitted in. So I've noticed if I try and sand them out, I'm going into the wood. So I don't want to do that. Let's have a quick look then. You can see there's the mahogany of the old Skeg, which is... is that actually coming off there? I don't know. Might have to just sand that down a little bit. Feels like it's so thin that it's coming off. Here's where the fiberglass has gone to. Just a nice fillet all the way up, and you can see the wood of the bottom of the hull here, where I've tried to not sand that as much as possible. Right, I'm going to tidy up all these wood shavings, because I need those to go in the bin, and then we're going to clean this up, and we're going to get the epoxy. Oh no, we're not. We're going to get some screws out, then the epoxy. This little rubbish bag always gives me away, doesn't it? Because this is the The little bag you put your pastries in when you stop at the co-op. It is wood. It's not the end of the world if this is, you know, there's a little bit of this on the ground here. It's not like it's toxic plastic, but I want to try and pick up as much as I can for obvious reasons. Okay, so the next phase is to get this secured onto here, and then we're going to do that by epoxying and screwing, because I think epoxy, you might knock it and it's just not going to have the strength. It's going to get knocked. And the Skeg is here really to protect the rudder and the hull and things like that. So it does take the odd little knock and bang. Now, the way I thought about doing this was with trying to do screws again. Now, if I wanted to screw, or do it the easy way, I just want to screw through the hull like they did previously. Although I would argue those screws don't seem to be in the hull. So, because the screws have come out and this is still the Skeg. So unless there was a veneer put on with the screws embedded in it, you know, I don't know. So my idea is to actually get these little screws. Now these are for threaded inserts normally. Let me get you closer. So these are for threaded inserts. So you'd screw that in and then you'd have your threaded insert would screw onto the top there. Now that would be fine if I had one, because I could maybe screw it in. But if I'm going to have 3 or 4 of these, that's not going to work for me. I think looking at them, I'm going to go for these slightly smaller ones. I've only brought 3 of each though, which is annoying. So I've got 3 types here. I've got a short fat one, I've got a big long fat one, and I've got a slightly longer medium sized thin one. And I think immediately we know we're going to go for that thin one. But the only problem I've got with that is a long screw, isn't it, to get in. So the only way I'm going to get around this is to screw these through. Typically that uses like a star profile. That is so annoying. So I might have to drill a hole and put these little fatter ones in, which have, they've got star profile. I haven't got a star profile screwdriver. Oh, that's annoying. The only ones I've got I'm able to put in are these because of I can do it with a spanner. Oh, that's really annoying. Or what we do is we just screw some screws in here, the head the other way, and then chop the heads off. So that's actually a really good idea, isn't it? So these aren't going to work. I'm a bit worried. They're a bit hefty, these are, you know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to screw screws through here because I've got loads of stainless steel screws. And then what we're going to then do is mark them off. And then we're going to drill a little hole in here, cut the tops off, and then epoxy them into here. Or actually, probably because we've got the boat on its back, we'll do it the other way around. We'll screw them into here, and then we'll epoxy them into here. And we'll have to put this on and make some marks so where we can drill some holes. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to go get some screws. Let me go and get my screws. A little box of stainless steel screws. Been building up quite a collection, but you do need them. So actually, immediately, I was going to say about an inch, inch and a half. Or let's have a look if we've got a longer one in here. Because actually the longer, I've got some really long ones that I never use because they're just too long for anything. But we'll just see if we can find them. Ah, there they are. So we've got 2 inch number 8 or 1.5 inch number 8. What are these ones down here as well? Let's have a look. And these are, they're 10 1.5 inch. I don't think 1.5 inch is going to be long enough. And we've got number 10 2 inch. Oh, so we've got number 10. Number 8. They don't even look like number 10s, do they? I think the number 8 2 inch. The reason I say that is I think number 10 might be a little bit thick for this wood here. So we're going to drill out little holes, screw them in. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a 5th on the end there. 1, 2. So there was actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was 6 actually, wasn't there? The more the better in a way. So we're going to screw them in here, and I think we'll screw them in as long as we can. We might actually need the 1/2 inch ones down here, mightn't we? But we're going to screw them in. That'll be fine there, like that. And then, I mean, if we drill a bigger hole, we could actually put these in, and then that would really root the screw into the epoxy. So we may try that. But the other thing I need to work out is how much would have got under here. Is there a beam in the middle? I didn't think to look at that on the internet. So i.e., can we screw this in quite safely? And if we do screw it in, will we be able to seal it up? I think we will. I think we'll be fine. You know, we don't want any leaks in here, but the epoxy is going to stop all the leaking anyway, isn't it? So there we go. So let's get these screwed in here. So I've put a 2.5mm bit in there, which will just create a pilot hole, which will stop the wood splitting. And I've measured it so we can do them all up to the chuck there. And I think that's about where we want it. It's going to go there. There we go. The main thing is they're straight this way, so the skeg, when it's screwed on, won't be like this. And I think we'll do another one here. And then will we get away with one more here? No. So we're now going to have to go to the slightly smaller or less long screw. Okay, that's that one. And then the other one, as you said, is going to go through the other way. So there we go. That's that bit done. Right, let's get this right in the middle, right on the end. That's that one. Perfect. Right, I've measured that to be a tickle, like a millimetre longer than the screw, so the screw's got a little bit of epoxy behind it, and we're going to go over 2mm thread just to see what happens when this goes in. I'm going to do nice and slow. It goes all the way through. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's try this one. Yeah, so we're drilling holes in the boat, yeah, but I'm not too worried because we're going to be filling it all. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. The big question is, do I want to drill a big hole, fill it, or do I want to keep this hole as small as possible so these almost hammer in? And the answer to that is I think I'm going to keep them, I'm going to chop the tops off these and keep these as small as possible, because that way we can maybe just drip a bit of epoxy in as we screw these in, and it will be all sealed anyway, so I'm sure we'll be fine. Time will tell. There we go. Slow and steady, I've learned, chopping stainless steel. So I think a size 8 screw is 3.5mm. So if I get a 3mm screw piece, drill bit, and drill down, I think these will tap in and the threads will just grip nicely as they go in. So that's the theory anyway. There's only one way to find out, and that is to get on with it. Okay. And then, in theory, these there, that's exactly the theory. These should then you should almost be able to push them in. They might need a little bit of coercion. I need to just get a little wood block so I can tap this in. Right. It's going in. There we go. Look at that. I mean, with me that's half luck. I'm not gonna lie. But it's looking good, isn't it? Oh, I'm really pleased with that so far. And then those screws are now, they've got enough friction in them to keep this open at the right level, so we can fill that with a little bit of fiberglass here and just build it up. And then this hole we need to just put a little screw in as well. So let's do that. There we go. I've not got my little toolkit with me today, so I've not got my little tool that creates a little bevel for the sunk head to go into. So what I'm doing, I'm just going to do this very carefully with the drill, with a bigger drill bit, and hopefully that will then just get it to sit low enough that the fiberglassing will then hide it. This one is going to be screwed in manually. There we go. Oh crikey, do you know what? That's actually flexed this a little bit, which is kind of good. There we go. Because if it's under a bit of tension, oh, that's pretty flush there. If it's under a little bit of tension, it's going to be quite good. So let's check that now. Straight as a die. Yeah, that has been, I mean, that's almost as good as the old one was. So far, this project has gone uncannily well. Boat projects never go this well, so I am waiting for something to happen. But we've done the difficult bit. So now what we've just got to do is get this fiberglassed up. The first job will be just getting some 404 into this gap here, making sure that's nice and filleted. And then we're going to put some fiberglass up here, and then fiberglass the whole thing. I think we may as well fiberglass the whole. Do we fiberglass the whole thing? I don't know. It's hard because I don't have the old one, but I think we've got to fillet it up here, so we may as well try and fiberglass the whole thing. And I've got my peel ply with me, which is, you know, be the first time we use that, which will be brilliant. I always forget to put my gloves on before I use the acetone, and then I forget how bad acetone is for your skin and your nails, and then I get really sore fingers because here I can't kind of moisturise or wash my hands so easily, and yeah, and then I split my nails, and it's from the acetone. So gloves are on. Right. Let's get this cleaned up fully. This wood is quite rough actually, so when I say rough, it's actually really well cut, but it's nice and rough, and it's ready to key. It's ready as a key for fiberglass or paint, in my opinion. If we were painting it, I think I might just rough it up a little bit actually. But we're not going to be painting it, we're going to be fiberglassing over it. So actually, because this is mahogany, what I'm now doing, just making sure I soak it, because it is a hardwood, so it will be, it's not an oily wood, mahogany, to my knowledge, but a little bit there, I need to just get rid of. It's not an oily wood to my knowledge, but a little bit of acetone will sort of dry it out, so it'll be ready to absorb some epoxy. Well, that's the theory anyway. I was going to Gorilla Tape it down to keep its shape, but I mean, that's rock solid. And yeah, it's as straight as I'm going to get it. The old one was a tickle wonky, to be fair. So we're just going to go straight in, mix some epoxy up. Right, that's 3 pumps of 105 resin with the 205 hardener. I'm still using the 205 hardener despite the warm weather now, although it's not been as warm as it has been. This gives me a pot life of about 15 minutes, but today I think it will give me a little bit longer. It's not long, but it's going to be long enough for me to do what I need to do, I think. So first thing we're going to do is just dress the whole area, and also try at the same time to squeeze a little bit in the gap underneath here, because I'm not going to get any 404 under here really, maybe this little back bit here, but we need to get as much epoxy in here as we can. So I need to wait for this to tack up before I start filleting it. Now, what I can tell you is I can see where the epoxy is. In fact, we're going to mix up some 404, which I've got in a little tub. I haven't brought like the world's supply of 404 with me today, but what I want to do is get some 404 in that gap where it's running out. So I'm going to put a good couple of scoops in here. I want this to be quite firm, and then, oh gosh, just be careful I'm down or upwind of that, because I don't want to be breathing this in. But when you're outside, you're okay. So this is really firm, look at it, really firm. So let's start getting a little bit in these places, and then let's start getting a little bit along here, and I think we will just use it to first of all plug these gaps down here, but I think we'll just risk it and try and get the fillet in as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour or spatula it in roughly like this to make a nice U. Now this way we've got a shouting chance of maybe doing the epoxying, the fiberglassing all in one go. There we go. So, and I'm just going to use my glove to sort of, okay, that's not worked. I'm not going to use my glove. I'm actually going to use a spatula to do this, because it actually gives you a really nice fillet shape. Now it doesn't have to be bang on, because when we put the fiberglass on, I might put a tickle more of this to sort of squeeze it a little. Right, I'm just going to give this a tidy, because that is dripping down here a little. We don't want that. And we're going to leave this to set, which hopefully won't be too long. leave that there just to protect the metalwork. Okay, ooh. Just do this little bit here. Those cheap brushes I bought, I know why they're cheap now, because they literally molt hairs. There we go. There we go. Right, I'm not going to touch it anymore. Let's leave that to cure.